I am a failure.
With regards to like what God does and what you do, how do you work that out?
A lot of people that I know that got married young, many of them are divorcing. Oh my gosh, like this is the age that I'm at.
Like people think because you're single that you're after their men.
Guys don't approach me and I'm not sure why.
The lifestyle show where we learn how to self-coach our way through life to increase self-awareness without judgment. That's me, your host and coach, Kibibe Bailey. Safe space conversations, storytelling and journey sharing. This is the Glow Up Tribe podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Glow Up Tribe podcast. This is the lifestyle podcast, which is all about the art of self-coaching. When I say self-coaching, I mean being a non-judgmental observer in your inner world. I am your host and coach, Kibibe. So today I want to unpack the adage, life starts at 40. I'm joined by my sister friend, my girl, Donna-Marie. Hey girl.
Hey girl.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to have you here, honestly.
It's an absolute pleasure.
You were like one of my first guests.
I'm so excited.
I just knew it. I knew you had to be on this
Listen, when
podcast.
you asked me, I immediately got the confirmation. I was like, yes. I didn't even think twice about it. I was just like, yes.
So good, honestly. So today we're going to be talking about, let's just get straight into it. You know, I've naturally been like nosy, curious.
Yes.
And I also like to think ahead as well. Like, you know, so obviously I'm in my 30s at the moment. And even just looking 10 years ahead from now, like what does that look like? I mean, there's so many things that I think that go on in the group of 40s. And not just that as well, I think as well, society, it kind of like, it goes quiet. I feel like society very much promotes like 20s, 30s, and then for 40s, for me personally, I mean, I do, you know, I'm online a lot and I just feel like it goes a bit quiet. I'm not sure it's because I'm not there yet. So I know there's so much that happens, such as like obviously menopause, so the sweats and the getting the fans out every minute.
It's very
And then you've got things
Very
of then you got things of being childless and I guess husbandless. Those lot of people are the happiest, apparently. And then you've also got those that are really depressed. And the stats are high for that. So I'm just like, it just seems really confusing as well. And I don't know what you found. I don't know if any of those things resonates with you. I mean, yeah. Like,
honestly, I feel like I've been through an emotional roller coaster
Wow.
the last few years.
Wow.
Especially in the run up to 40. That was
Yeah.
like, she felt the societal pressures.
Yeah.
Like you should have had this by now and that by now. You should
Yeah.
have your family and your kids and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And that has just not been the case for me. So I think I went through the depressed state. I was very low. I was very discouraged, but more than anything out of disillusionment. I felt disillusioned. But once I processed it and actually realized the reality of my situation was a good one, once I embraced my singleness, embraced the freedom and the liberty that I have at this age and my health, it really is a really good age to be at. And also I feel like once you met the 40 mark, it's like the pressure's kind of off. The pressure is up until you're 40.
Yeah.
But then it's like you reach 40 and like,
it's like you've got over the hill.
yeah, it's like,
I'm still
okay,
here.
yeah, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and life just continues, you know?
So when you say disillusionment, is that like, I'm guessing that might be like some rejection of what the reality was, because then thereafter, you said that you kind of started to embrace. So what did the disillusionment look like for
the
you?
disillusionment was, you know, when I was in my 30s, I had all of these plans. In my 20s even, I had all of my life was planned out. And my life has just not gone anything like what I planned.
Yeah.
And so I think the reality of reaching this age and being like, oh my gosh, that hasn't happened, that hasn't happened, that hasn't happened.
Wow.
Lots of other things have happened, but you're
Yeah.
focused on the common things that you are expected to have achieved or accomplished or experienced at this age. I hadn't had those things. So I think that's where the depression set in for me.
So it's like stuff that you hadn't had externally, like let's just say showing
yes,
people that you are X and X and X.
Exactly that. I thought I'd be married. I thought I'd have a family, you know, and, you know, I'd have this amazing lifestyle. And I have a great lifestyle, but it's not what I anticipated.
And going back to you saying that when you were going into 40, because you got quite unwell, didn't you?
I
You got quite
did.
sick.
I was very ill from 2016 up until literally maybe a year ago. So a good 7 years of being unwell and the process
I
of
didn't even know,
healing.
Dons, it was that long.
Yeah, I mean the bulk of it was first maybe 4 or 5 years, and
I think that's when we weren't necessarily speaking.
That's right. I disappeared. No one saw me. I just disappeared.
Wow.
I was really unwell, and I didn't understand what was going on. And that was obviously a major setback in terms of time. I felt like I was losing time. All those years I spent ill was years I wasn't able to progress. And so it was a real psychological battle for me. It's like on one hand, I had to just give thanks for health, my healing that was taking place. But on the flip side, I was just like, I'm so behind. Everybody's just advancing. Everybody's getting married. Everybody's on their first and second homes now, and having second and third children. And I was just like,
wow,
what about me? Like, what's going on with me? So it was a really difficult time emotionally and physically.
Well, you literally like, because I don't even know the depths of your illness, actually, because I don't think, to be honest, and I feel bad now, but I don't think I've fully asked. It's like a silent time.
I was kind of grateful. I was grateful that lots of people didn't ask. I had a number of people that did, but I didn't have any answers. The doctors didn't fully understand what was wrong with me. I eventually got diagnosed with 2 chronic illnesses, but at the time it was just confusion. I was back and forth to the hospital, tests, scans, all sorts. I didn't actually have any answers for anyone because the doctors didn't have any answers for me. All I know is my body was shutting down. And it was just trying to survive, literally trying to survive. Yeah, it was deep. It was quite deep, but nobody really knows the extent of it. I don't really talk about it. So
why don't you talk about it?
I didn't talk about it. Should I say I'm beginning to open up about it now, but at the time it was traumatic. It was actually very traumatic. And as I said, I didn't have the answers at the time. So it just felt safer. I felt very vulnerable at that time as well. When you're ill and your body's not functioning correctly, you feel out of control and you feel very susceptible and very vulnerable emotionally and physically. So I literally shut down. And that's why you never saw me. Like, lots of people did not see me. I literally had a hand going. And that was it. And that included my family. I literally shut down. I looked terrible. I felt terrible. I didn't feel like myself. I'd lost myself. I felt like I'd lost myself. So I didn't want to interact with anybody, and I didn't want anybody to see me in the state that I was in. So, as a process, it's been a process. The fact that I'm here today is amazing. And the fact that I am showing up on your podcast.
It's like a whole testimony, isn't it?
It really is.
Because you're all about your faith as well, as I am. We are spiritual sisters as well.
Big time. Big time. And that's what carried me through. It's my faith. If I didn't have my faith, I literally don't know where I would be. Yeah.
So do you ever think back to your 20s? What would your younger you say to the woman that you are today sitting on this sofa?
What would the younger
version? Yeah, you're the 20.
Okay, what would the 20-year-old say to the 40? You know what? In my 20s, I thought 40 was old. I thought that was so old.
Getting ready to enter the retirement home.
Now I've hit 40 and I'm like, I still feel like I'm in my 20s. So it's very difficult to know what my younger self would have said. Probably would have said, you're kind of old, What are you doing? What's happened with your life? My younger version would have been questioning the 40-year-old person. Yeah. As a 40-year-old and looking back, I would say to her, you don't know.
Thank you.
You don't know.
You don't know about...
You think you're grown. You think you know it all, but you don't. Okay.
So how are you managing your health now? Because I know health is, as I said, I'm not going to pretend like I don't know you. So I know health is pretty much one of your, not saying your life revolves around health, but it's very much now a primary thing in your life in terms of maintaining that.
Absolutely.
You spend a lot in nutrition.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their things, but your thing is food.
Yeah.
We even discussed this in the park the other day when we said about, the restaurant thing, that you'd rather not eat out and have that, the grocery shopping for the week. Whereas, girl, you're going to find me at the restaurant.
You're going to be at the restaurant, yeah.
And you'd rather not eat out and eat well at home
Yeah.
than the other side. Sorry, my brain's gone frazzled, but the vice versa
Yeah.
to that.
So I've always had an element of health consciousness, but when I got ill, I had to literally take matters into my own hands because the doctors didn't know what was going on. All they wanted to do was farm me pills. And I just wasn't interested. So I took to researching. I was constantly researching about health and healing and natural ways of healing the body. The body is so responsive to nutrition. And so that's what I did. I completely changed my diet. I started to work with a nutritionist, completely changed my diet, completely
Which is
changed
investment.
my lifestyle.
You invested in yourself.
Major investment. It was a lot of money. It was well worth it because eventually my body started to respond really well to me. And that's what has gotten me to the place that I'm at right now. It's not as a result of me taking, the pharmaceutical route. It's been me changing my lifestyle, my diet. And so in order to maintain the healing and the health that I've managed to achieve, it's paramount for me to maintain my nutrition and my eating well and so forth. And there's so many wonderful spin-offs from that, complimented on my figure all the time. And I think
I'm one of those
I work
people.
out. I mean, I do toning exercises, but I'm not one of these hardcore
Girl,
cardio.
I'm in the park. I'm in the park every day, right? Trying to just get to
that though. And it's great, but I'm quick to say, it's actually not cardio and me working out 5 days a week. It's nutrition. Nutrition is key.
I do. Okay, Dons, I got to say though, we spoke about this as well. Body type does come into play. I'm an endomorph, okay? I got that. I don't even want to say, okay, I'm grateful for the body that I have.
You got a figure, girl.
But underneath the fat, I might have a figure.
I go by shape. You've got the shape.
The endomorph is a shorter frame and bulkier on the... I've always had arms that I've been struggling to get rid of. So yes, I think it's body types as well. But then knowing how to serve your body type, I think is also important.
I agree.
So... yeah, because I genuinely know with regards to nutrition anyway, I know that the one part of my research as well was that the things that people change in their lives is stuff of nutrition at 40s. I think people become more aware, try to really manage their health and maintain their health. So it's really good that you're doing that and you're so did you fully reject the pills then, or was you doing it alongside?
I fully rejected.
Is it?
Yeah, and when I went back to see my consultant, she was baffled. She was confused. She was like, "So, what are the pills that you're taking at the moment? What drugs are you taking at the moment?" She was expecting me to reel off a whole list of things that they've given me, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not taking it." It confused her.
Oh no, that's
she was like, and my scans showed that my reproductive system,
your body was repairing itself.
It was repairing itself, and they were baffled.
Gosh.
They're absolutely baffled. Inflammation, lots of diseases, lots of chronic diseases can be reversed through nutrition and healthy lifestyle. And stress is a major factor for illness. And so reducing the stress in my life was massive.
What was the stress for you? What did the stress look like?
It was the working 2 jobs, running my business, relationship dramas, housing situations. It's literally the everyday stresses and me stressing myself out, trying to achieve what I had vision for my life, and actually when I relaxed and let go, that's when my body was able to heal, because we can operate in this constant state of stress. Your cortisol levels are sky high. And it shouldn't remain in that space. We're in that fight or flight mode. We shouldn't be in like that mode continually. That should just be when there's a real reason to be in that fight or flight mode. If someone comes and mugs you, or do you know what I mean? That's when it should kick in. But it shouldn't be consistently every day in that state. And that's a lot of us are living like that.
Yeah, especially us in London. My God.
It's crazy. The schedules are crazy. Financial stresses.
Even meeting up with a friend happens to be when you're talking about it 2 months down the road.
Yeah,
because you've got different things going on.
So much going on. And then try to do the most, and it's just not necessary. A lot of it is unnecessary, and I realized that once I stopped. All the things I felt like I needed to keep juggling, and I actually didn't need all of those things. It's what I was telling myself and what the media was telling me I needed to be doing. And it's just not true. It's a lie. Health truly is wealth. Once you've not got your health, you come to realize that these things are so superficial and they don't actually mean anything, you know?
I think this is a good time to ask about, like, are you the minority in your friendship group? Like, what does your friends' lives look like, and how do you navigate through?
Yeah. I would say that the vast majority of my friends or my age group are married with kids now. And they're the ones with their first and second homes. And so I found it really difficult actually transitioning with them, because you tend to find, I don't think it's a conscious thing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, they tend to become quite secluded in the way that they operate.
Yes.
And I can't judge them for that, because I don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. All I know is what it's like to be the single friend on the outside, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It really doesn't feel good.
I think it's not just secluded, though, in terms of them being a unit. I think it's also them now gravitating towards married couples.
Yes,
so then
absolutely.
You're now the random loner that no one wants.
That no one wants to invite anywhere because they're doing the couples thing. And so that I found really difficult to navigate and get my head around, especially people that I've been really close with. It's like,
there's a shift.
We used to speak every day, and now
shifting,
I barely speak to you once or twice a month, you know, and it takes a lot of adjusting. But what I've ended up having to do is operate with people that are younger than myself, because those are the ones that are still single.
That's deep.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. So I've got a lot
people
of friends
like me
who are your age group now.
Okay, how does that make you feel? I mean, do you watch age like that, or
because I feel young? Like, I don't feel old, and I feel like I've got wisdom to offer. So I embrace it.
And vice versa. Do you learn? Do you feel like you learn from them as well?
Definitely. It's mutually beneficial. Yeah, and I like the energy. I love being around. You know,
even us.
You just
the clown things that we get.
Jokes.
You were in tears the other day, Don.
Oh my gosh, the simplest things that you come out with. You have me in stitches all the time. I just love you.
I love you too. Oh gosh. So, okay, this is a perfect segue into dating and relationships. I've been tired. I've been tired on and off. I'm not tired right now. This is not the season really to be tired. You must have, obviously you're a bit ahead of me.
You know what? It's it's tumbleweed out here. That's what it is. It's a very strange place to be in, because I don't know. It's a strange one. Guys don't approach me, and I'm not sure why. I find it really bizarre. So whenever I speak to some of my male friends and tell them that, they're really perplexed, and I'm like, I don't understand what the issue is. So I'm like, is it? I actually don't know. So
we're talking any environment. So we're talking church.
We're
talking bars. We're talking parks.
It just doesn't.
Barbecues.
It's very strange. It's very, very rarely does anyone approach me. Very, very rarely, especially not in church. No one ever approaches me in church.
Yeah, well, we know that there's a common thing there with guys not approaching ladies, and I do understand from their point. Yeah, when we were going to go in a completely different direction, I'm not even going to open that can. But I do know how complex the whole thing is. Obviously, you know, they're in the church, and if it doesn't work out, and everything else. But we know, obviously, it can be if you're handling it right, there's no reason for you to not approach. And if you have the right heart and intention, and you know, make everything clear, then I don't see why, you know, if it doesn't work out, that you can't just get on and then start dating someone else.
Definitely.
So do you think it's something that obviously we're not doing no self-blame thing. I'm just saying, do you think, like, introspection, do you think it's something you're like giving off that you're not aware of?
Maybe. But I have people say, oh, you need to get out. I'm like,
I do get out. Yeah, I'm outside.
I'm at events. I'm at people's weddings.
Do you know
what I mean? I'm constantly doing things. I'm busy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm presentable. So it's just like, it doesn't make sense to me. It literally doesn't make sense.
The math is not mathing.
But also to bear in mind that a lot of men my age are no longer single. Like, I don't know what the percentages are of single men that research in their 40s, but I feel like it's very, very, very small. The pool is tiny.
Or they would have maybe been married and divorced. Yeah. So you're now looking at divorcees type.
And so they're even more reluctant.
Yes, I'm not going to lie. I've even spoke to someone the other day, and they said that I'm not even going to, I don't want to get married again. Yeah. And they're done. Yeah, they're done. So
it's not easy out in these streets.
It's a
when
lot.
You get to your 40s, the dating situation just becomes a lot more difficult. a lot more difficult. And it's very difficult to know who's single and who isn't as well, unless they've got a wedding band on. It's just an assumption. I just assume that.
How do you find that people respond to you when you go to like barbecues and stuff? Obviously, you're looking stunning, showing up. And because I've had a thing with ladies, and especially Dons, I'm glad you're here. I don't know what it is, but even when like in the church setting, and it's like people think because you're single that you're after their men. I don't know if you've ever had that.
100%.
And I'm like, I'm just here. But I
I'm
think
just
sometimes
here.
they assess you on even your looks and stuff like that. And they think, oh, she's pretty. That might be my husband's type or whatever. I don't know what goes through their head, but you can feel it, that energy.
You get the energy, you get the vibes, you get the looks. And it's like, I just want a fellowship. I just want to sit and share a little scripture.
Gosh. Oh, that is right.
It's very real, though. It's very real. You pick up the vibes, and it's not pleasant. It's really not pleasant.
It's not, is it? It's not.
It's not pleasant. But again, I don't know what it's like to be on the other side.
That's
so I try my best not to
kind of judge a person for that.
That.
Yeah,
but
100%.
It doesn't feel nice on the receiving end, I must say. It's really not.
So kids, Dons.
Kids.
Is that something you still want? Did you ever, do you want children now?
You know what? I have pretty much most of my adult years have felt like pretty indifferent about kids. I was assumed I would have them, but I was never the type to be super maternal.
Yeah.
No, maternal isn't the word actually, because I can be quite maternal. I think broody is the word I'm looking for. I've never been that broody type.
Yeah.
Kids, babies, and I was always like, it was just an assumption that when I get married, that's just what's going to happen. I haven't gotten married, and it hasn't happened yet. So honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm actually okay with it, and I'm grateful that I'm okay with it, because I feel sorry for those that I know who are in my age group, and they are really broody, and they're desperately wanting to have children, and it breaks my heart for them. It really does.
Do you think you're permanently okay, or is this just you today saying you're okay, and then tomorrow or
you can
next
never
week?
Say never, but I have to say I feel good. Like I feel like if it happens, great, and if it doesn't happen, I think I'll be all right. You know.
You know what comes to mind when we went to a baby shower of our friends, and you reminded me the other day how broody I was because I was holding the baby. I was holding a baby that was there.
So cute.
And you were like, oh, do you remember when that really was, my heart broke for you. So I'm thinking, really when? Because that's how quick those seasons can
change. Yeah.
So that's why I think for me, what I saw when you reminded me, I was like, that's why you can't necessarily be living in your feelings, because
by your feelings
because
all.
I then even forgot. You had to remind me that that's the place that I was really like, oh, I want a baby right now.
Yeah.
And then I would forget like only 7 months or whatever later that's where I was.
Yeah.
So
you became bougie auntie.
Yeah. it's kind of crazy. So I think for me, my personal experience with having children and not is I've just always known the equation that I want is husband and child, not just child, which I think even let's go back quickly, touch on the church thing and ladies that, Christian ladies. Next thing you know, what I've seen in the church for being in the church for so long is I've seen with my own eyes, I've seen ladies literally 1 minute they're flat stomach, the next they're not. Yeah. And I'm not saying they shouldn't come to church. Of course, come to church. My God, just come to church. That's all good. But I think it's interesting because you know that they're single, or you know that they're not married, at least. But for me, even with a discussion with a friend years ago in my 20s now, she's like, I just know I'm meant to be a mum. And she was considering, like, forget the husband now. Let's just get on to the actual just getting a baby. So it's real. It's a lot to manage with your internal thoughts and the different seasons as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's like coming to that point. That's where the disillusionment can kick in. It's like, oh my gosh, how have I reached this stage and this age, and these heart's desires haven't yet come to pass? It's a difficult thing to navigate. It really can be.
And even with being like in your 40s now, like I guess coming mid 40s, I'm reminded of a time as well where you like, you literally woke like,
you have a moment where it's just like, oh my gosh. Like,
what was going through your mind? What were some of the conversations at the time? Like, you were laying down, right, I think, and then you literally jumped up. Is that correct? Or am I just visualizing this?
I'm trying to remember.
Creating the narration in my head.
I feel like I've had a few of those moments where it's just like, it suddenly dawns on me. Oh my gosh, like this is the age that I'm at. Like, oh my gosh, like, how much time have I got left if I do want to have kids?
Yeah, look at that.
Do you know what I mean? I'm already hot flushing, and I'm like,
Yeah, menopause, girl. How long have
girl,
you been
it's
menopausing?
real. You know, menopausing. You know what? I feel like since I hit 40 is when things started to kind of change for me. I started to have some hot and cold flushes. I feel like I've had some hormonal changes take place. Thankfully, the grey hairs have stayed away. I've only got one half.
Have you ever
grey
coloured
hair.
your hair?
Oh, just for the sake of colouring it,
Yeah.
but not to cover greys.
Okay.
I've got
good.
one half grey hair.
Okay.
Which came
Yeah.
10 days after my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
It just was like, ping. And I was like, oh,
Surprise.
no. Didn't. And so I thought a whole load were going to come with it, but they haven't. I've just still got that one
thank God.
half grey hair.
Oh, nice. Love that. That definitely must mean that your stress levels are down.
I think so. I'm very intentional about managing stress. If something's stressing me out, it has to go. Or if someone is stressing me out, they have to go.
Someone. Gosh. It's interesting because I was on TikTok the other day, and a few months now. So I experienced something with a mum and her young, I don't want to say bratty child. She's just a 2-year-old, I think, 2-year-olds, I think approximately. And I did a little ranting video, you know, I like to kind of do some rants every now and again. And what it was is that there was this lady on the plane. Behind me, her daughter was acting up. The plane was also getting ready to take off. And I just found that she wasn't taking control of the managing. Fair enough, she's 2, but 2-year-olds are still 2. Do you know what I mean? And I think for me, they need parenting and told that sometimes, okay, this is what you need to do now. No, we need to stop this behavior, whatever it is. So anyway, I did a little, she was literally kicking like my neighbour's seat, and the mum wasn't really kind of reacting or trying to pull her legs down. And so me being me, turned around and said, I said a little something to the mum, and she did not like that at all. We kind of got into it a bit. I mean, I wasn't trying to go there, and we didn't pop off, of course. But at the same time, there was a bit of an exchange between us. I didn't expect her reaction to be that. I was only just trying to say, could you possibly just try to take her legs from the seat? And she just said, oh, she's 2. Anyway, so I did a TikTok on this, just explaining what happened. And a good few of the comments said, this is, oh, don't have children. This is why you should just leave having children. And I did do some video replies saying, no, I do still want children. I like the idea of children. I want children for myself, as well as want to adopt. That's something that I want to do. And I say all that to say, and I've lost my train of thought, but I'm just saying that, would you say, because there's a statistic saying that people that are childless and also, I guess, husbandless and singles in their 40s, single in their 40s, they are the happiest group of people. versus the depressed. Like, would you say that you're the happiest that you've ever been?
Honestly, I can actually. I would honestly say that I am the happiest I've been, at least in a very long time.
Wow.
I feel grateful. I feel free. I feel healthy. The world's my oyster. I feel like the possibilities are endless now. Whereas those that are married, you know what the reality is? A lot of people that I know that got married young, many of them are divorcing or divorced.
That's what I've heard as well.
Or they're unhappy. They're genuinely unhappy, and I think, oh my gosh, my heart breaks for them. And then at the same time, I'm like, thank God that he had a different path for me, because that would be equally heartbreaking to marry someone at a young age and then be miserable at this age.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, you're still in your prime.
I think
to be unhappy now, my God.
Yeah.
And you still got like let's just say 30, 40 years of life.
Yeah.
And you're halfway through it and you're miserable.
Well, this is it.
What do you
feel
do?
like this is the perfect time for me to meet someone, because I'm in my healthiest. But
Glow
I
up.
also know myself.
Yes. Oh
when
my
you're
gosh.
young, you think you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I've evolved so much, and I feel like when you're young and you marry, you've got to evolve and somehow still evolve together. And that must be really challenging,
Must
you
be.
go through different phases and stages. your values change while you're in that
Yeah.
stage. But now my values are set. I
Yeah.
know who I am. I know what I want. And so when I meet someone, I'll know whether they're compatible with me and suitable for the future that I envision for myself.
Yeah.
And the purpose that I know that God has for me. That's another thing that's become very clear for me now. Whereas younger, I was still trying to figure it out, you know? So I feel like this is the perfect age for me to meet Mr. Where you at?
Mr. Right, yeah. Where is he at? So, like, would you say that you did say something just now, and I don't know why I'm losing train of thought. It might be the lack of food. So would you say, so how do you go about talking to your friends and kind of being that encouragement to them, not having experienced what they've gone through in terms of even being in a marriage? Like, what do they appreciate what you say? Do you just keep silent? Do you just pray for them?
I never used to say anything. I never used to try to offer any advice. I wouldn't pry. It's not really my nature anyway. I wait for people to offer information to me. I'm not really one to ask a whole load of questions unless I know that you're someone that would be open to that.
Yeah.
It's just not my way of being. But I found more recently, actually, they've been a lot more open to it. They've been much more open with the realities. And I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate the vulnerability, but I also have been able to encourage them and they've received it. And I never thought I'd see the day. Because I assumed that I was unqualified because I'm not in your shoes. But actually, I've got a really nice outsider's perspective and I can offer, you know, I was speaking to a friend the other day and I realized that some of the advice I was offering was the result of me being intentional about preparing for marriage. Because I'm intentional about that, I'm reading books and I'm listening to podcasts and I'm watching YouTube videos all on the topic of relationships. Married people, they ain't got time for it, or they don't prioritize that. They're not prioritizing that.
So the maintaining of their marriage kind of gets left
to the side. And so I've now been able to come in and say, oh,
with
you
a
know,
fresh,
have you thought about this? And I understand that this is really important for a man, or this is really important for a woman, or communication, or love languages, or whatever the case might be. And it's things that they haven't really been thinking about because they're just busy trying to doing life.
100%. Wow. So as we're talking about this whole like family stuff and you know your friends that are married, have you ever struggled with was there ever a time that you struggled to be happy for them? Can you remember when they got married and how you felt? And
honestly, I can honestly say I've never been the jealous type. It's just not my personality type. But I must say, when I was ill, I struggled because I didn't feel like I had options. I feel like it's different when you've got options, when you've got the ability to make things happen versus it's out of your control. And when I was in that state of it's out of my control, I struggled. It was hard to hear this one's getting married or that one's, it hurt me. But it was never in a jealous way. It was just, it hurt.
It was just like, oh.
Yeah, it hurt.
A reminder of what you didn't have.
Of what I didn't have, exactly that. So thankfully, I'm really not the jealous type. And if there's any ounce of anything that comes up for me, I'm very quick to nip that in the bud. And I take that to prayer immediately. I'm not interested in that. I've always been a celebrator. And it actually encourages me when I see other people getting married and doing things. I'm like, this is amazing. Girl, I've been to 6 weddings this year. 6.
What?
And I've loved being at every single one of them. Like,
oh my gosh,
I've loved it. I
6.
love celebrating with people.
Yeah.
I love the idea of love. And so seeing and hearing, you know, the testimonies and the stories of how they come together, it fills me with joy. It really does. But I can imagine for other people, it doesn't do that. But for me, it fills me with joy and hope. Because I think, wow, if it's happened for you, it can happen for me.
So would you say, you just said something there. I just want to, you know, I'm just naturally curious. Would you say that jealousy has a type then? Because a personality type? Because I think for my understanding of jealousy has been that it's like anyone susceptible to it, and it's just whether you want to entertain it. Like, what's your view of jealousy?
I agree that anybody's susceptible to it, myself included, and it's something that has to be managed.
Yeah.
But I think those that have unaddressed insecurities are more vulnerable to or susceptible to it. And there's a lot of people with unaddressed insecurities. People aren't doing the inner work. They're not. And sometimes actually it's just their experience. They've had a tough upbringing or a difficult childhood or
Mm.
whatever the case might be. There's usually genuinely good reason for it, but it's not okay to just accept it.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's not enough people doing the internal work, the
I feel that
self-reflection.
now. I feel that
Do you know what I
now.
mean? Check yourself.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why are you like
Self-awareness,
that?
yes.
Do you know what I mean?
What are your triggers? Things like that. What is it? How do you tick?
Definitely, exactly. So when I was ill, I knew that I had to come off of all social media.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, because it was triggering. It was very triggering. Again, because I was in a situation where I couldn't make anything happen for myself. Seeing other people doing things.
And only
it's
their
not that
highlights
I
as
didn't
well.
want them to have that. It just made me feel bad about myself. And so I said, no, we're not doing this. This is not healthy. It's not good for my health. And it wasn't good for my stress levels. I would internalize that as I'm wrong. Something's wrong with me. My life is a mess. I am a failure just based off of other people's success. But when you're in a healthy space, you can come into that kind of environment and it's fine. But you've got to know yourself. You've got to know, do the self-reflection and check yourself. That's what I would say.
100%. I'm there now. As I said, even in things of dating, there's been sometimes issues for me where it's just like, I'm here trying to work on myself, develop, glow up, as it were. And then you've got a man that just wants to feed off of that. And it's just like, and you haven't done any self-work yourself. And then thus you become a project.
That's
Anyway.
a whole other episode right there.
Listen. So Don, sum yourself up in like 3 words.
Sincere. Purpose-driven.
Those eyes just darting around the room.
Can I get away with using that?
Okay, we'll let you off.
Sincere, purpose-driven, and hopeful.
Would you say that life starts at 40?
You know what? I used to hear that adage all the time. And then when I got to 40, I didn't really believe it. I was just like, okay, nothing's really changed. But in the last 2 years, I can honestly say that I really do think it does. I
really? I didn't expect you to say
be clear,
that.
I'm 43. So, yeah, I really do. I feel like my life is just beginning. I'm so excited for the future.
Oh, my gosh.
I've got a fresh excitement for the future that I just didn't expect. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for next year. I know next year is going to pop off. I know it.
Oh, my gosh. Dons, I love that for you, man.
I'm excited for you as well.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for me, but in terms of you being slightly older and I think just hearing something new for me, which I don't normally hear. As I said, I think for me, 40 seems a bit mute. Everyone's just getting on with their lives. As I said, divorcing or doing whatever they're doing, moving to a different country. And I don't think, as I said, I just don't feel like I hear enough about what life looks like, in the 40s. So it's actually really encouraging as well. I'm inspired and I'm encouraged as well. As much as I'm trying to love my life right now anyway, I'm just like, it doesn't end. It's okay. I can let go.
You totally can. And the world is your oyster, literally. There's nothing that's out of bounds, literally. And we still got time to be having children, even at this late age,
Have you considered?
I don't particularly want to be an old mother, but it happens and people can do it. Can I just take care of yourself?
Can I just ask as we close, like, have you considered what you're going to do in terms of when that time comes for you potentially with regards to children? Would it be a case of, I don't know, try naturally?
Honestly,
have you considered freezing?
I don't really. It's not something that I think about. Somebody asked me the other day, would I consider freezing my eggs? And I'm like, I'm so surrendered to whatever God's will is for me. I know that what's going to happen is going to happen. So I'm not going to try and contrive anything. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen naturally, in my opinion. And I'm just totally surrendered and trusting where that's concerned. Again, I'm not fussed either way. If I meet someone and he wants a child, for sure, I'm never going to withhold that from him. But I might meet someone who's got kids already or doesn't want any more kids or doesn't want to have kids at all, and that's equally okay. Like,
You're just easy.
I'm
That's what I get from
easy.
you, girl. You're just easy. Nobody comes stress up my
Easy.
life.
That's exactly
I just
it.
want my peace.
That's right. When I've gone through what I've gone through, no, it's just not worth it. Just I go with the flow.
So can I just ask you, sorry, and I know we are closing, and yes, but can I just ask you, like, what part do you like? So obviously I know your faith is very important to you. With regards to like what God does and what you do, how do you work that out? Like, where do you draw the line, as it were? It's not there's really much lines to be drawn, but where do you say, okay, I want this for me. I believe this is something that God's put in my heart to do. I'm going to do it. And then God, I'm going to wait for you. How does that work for you?
Because I struggled with that when I was younger. And then because I went through the whole infirmity, was ill for so long, all of the options got taken away from me and they got completely wiped. And it's in that process that I learned surrender, true surrender. Sometimes you think, oh, yeah, I've committed that to you, Lord. No, but when you literally cannot, your back's against the wall and you've got nothing, you've got no options, no other option but to trust God. That's where I was. And so off the back of that, it's like I had a reset, and all the things that I desired and was striving for in my own strength, I had to let them go. And that was part of the process. That was the intentionality where God's concerned. And he was showing me that. And so I learned surrender. And now he's brought me through, and it's like he's slowly restoring the desire for the things that I used to have, but it's in a completely different way. Before I was striving for it because it was more about what it meant about me. It was an identity thing. But going through what I went through, I had to reset my identity in him. And so it doesn't matter whether the things come or go, the husband comes or go, the cars come and go. I am his daughter. And that's all that actually matters. Like my foundation or relationship with my father, that is the cake. Anything on top is icing and sprinkles. So if I get the car, if I get the house, if I get the husband, that's sprinkles. But my foundation, my father. 100%. And so the desires are slowly coming back, but it's in a much healthier way. It's like, because I know that's what he wants for me, I let it all go. And now he's showing me, I've got this for you. I want this for you. This is going to happen for you. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen anymore. He's recently been showing me, oh, you're going to get it all. I'm going to restore it all. It's all coming.
Wow. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Perfect place to close. Thank you so much. I love you lots. I'm a fan of yours. I'm a sister of yours. And it's been so nice conversing. I've even though, yes, we talk, but I've even got to know a bit more about you as a person and Don's, you know what I mean, what your world and life looks like. So that's just been beautiful as well. Guys, this has been the Glow Up Tribe podcast. If you don't follow us on the socials, the YouTube, the TikTok, do so at the Glow Up Tribe Pod. Yes, I will be back very soon.
Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe and hit that bell button for notifications of our uploads, and join the conversation over on our Instagram at the Glow Up Tribe Pod.